Welcome to the Private Practice with Soul podcast. My name is Dr. Brooklyn Storm, and I help private practice owners align their business back with their soul's calling, with their big vision and with their soul's purpose. Unlike other private practice coaches, I've traveled the world in search of spiritual resources, spiritual tools, education and information so that you can have the transformation that your soul desires and needs so that you can up-level your business. How much fun is this? I love it so much. Guys, if you're not already a member of the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group, please check out the show notes. I would love for you to be there. In the meantime, thank you so much for pushing play today. Let's begin. Hello everybody, happy Wednesday and welcome to another episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast. I'm super pleased that you're here. We've got a really powerful episode for you today, especially if you are somebody who struggles with, being visible and imposter syndrome and all those kinds of things that we experience from time to time. Let me take a moment to say thank you to people who've been liking the podcast. If you haven't, please do. And also, if you haven't left a review yet, would you please hit pause, go and leave a little review and then come back to the episode. The reason being, I can reach more people and help more people, and you'd be supporting me in reaching my impact goal if you're able to do that. No pressure. It would be great if you could. All right. So I want to open up our conversation today with a quote. And this quote is by a lady called Marianne Williamson. You've probably heard of her. She's super duper famous. And this is from her book that's called A Return to Love. And her quote says, "Your playing small does not serve the world. There is nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. As we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. And as we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others." Now, what a powerful couple of sentences, right? So today, as you know, from the title of this podcast, we're going to be talking about what gets seen gets paid and a lot more. But what I really love about this quote here is that it's kind of saying that when you get out of your own way, you become an inspiration for other women to be able to step more authentically into their sovereign power as well. And that's a really beautiful thing, because we're in a big time of awakening, aren't we? And this is an opportunity for all of us as women to help turn each other's lights on. And we do that by supporting each other. It makes me think about how when you are in a big gathering and you've only got one flame on the candle, like you're all holding a candle and just one person's got the flame, and you know how you have to light the next person's candle, and then they light the next person's candle, and they light the next person's candle, and everybody's candle's lit up. This is what I think about when I think of that whole idea of we support each other as women in shining, and it's so safe and it's so okay to do that. But yes, we do have blocks, don't we? And there are so many reasons for that. I mean, if you think even about history, I was watching a film the other day and they're burning witches at the stake, which is a female, of course. And then, I lived in the Middle East, as you know, for years. And my experience was, yes, women still get stoned in the Middle East for speaking or looking the wrong way at a man, and or being accused of looking at them the wrong way. I mean, everything's covered up in Saudi Arabia. They've only got their eyes, but the man says that, she looked at me in a very seductive way, she gets stoned. And this is reality, and we don't like to talk about it and we don't like to see it. But I guess in Western worlds, not that there's any comparison, but we're also sort of stripped down, taken out by other people. And this happens a lot when we're trying to express an opinion. I mean, Wouldn't it just be so easy to be visible if you were just going along with what everybody else was saying? Like if everybody else is talking about how CBT is like the best technique ever, or EMDR is the way to go for all kinds of things, it'd be very easy for you to be visible about that because there's so many people that already agree with it. Okay, it's kind of like, and this is a hot topic at the moment where I live, and I don't want to trigger anyone, but even thinking about the COVID vaccination, it's kind of like we see so many people put the badge on Facebook going, I'm fully vaxxed and everything. And then there's somebody else who's got a badge that says, I don't care if you're fully vaxxed. And that person gets attacked. It's like, if you're supporting the status quo, then you're okay. And it's safe for you to be that voice because you're just like everyone else. And I think as women in counseling, this is one of the things that really does hold us back. It's that fear of being different. It's that fear of stepping out on a limb and actually standing for something. And I say it time and time again to my groups, like, you have to have a voice, because if you're just saying what everyone else is saying, how are clients going to find you? Like, it's just going to be random, and you don't want random clients. Yeah. So there's that to think about. And I understand why those blocks came to be. It's really hard to be different. I want you to understand 3 things today from our time together. And the first one is to understand why it's so important for you to be seen for your private practice. It's not only what gets seen gets paid, because not all of us do this to make millions of dollars or anything like that, but you're in business, and a business needs money. Otherwise, it's a hobby. It's not a business. And I think sometimes we get caught up in therapy mode and we're not so great at putting on the business head or the business hat. But the reality is that if you're wanting referrals, you have to be seen, and you do that through your marketing. And, there aren't very many private practices that do marketing very well. There are a few, but mostly it's hit and miss marketing. And the reason I know this is because, I work in the industry and I help women with this every day of every week. It's a big thing. And without being seen, you're not going to get the clients enrolling. The other reason that visibility is so important is because we want to increase your reach. Okay, so reach just means the number of people that your marketing is, getting in front of, whether that's on Google or Facebook or LinkedIn. So we really want to increase your reach. And the reason for that is because if you think about conversion rates, which maybe you already think about this, and maybe this is a new concept for you, but a conversion rate is a figure that represents the number of people that see your marketing versus the number of people that do things like have a booking call with you, make an appointment, get a referral, all those sorts of things. So a conversion is a metric that you absolutely should be measuring if you're actively, and you should be doing that, actively marketing in your practice. The more people you reach, the higher your conversions will be. For example, if you had a post that reached 100 people, maybe 2 of those people would inquire, right? Whether it's by email or make a call, and you might be able to book 1 of those people in. So we know that if you want to book 5 people in, that post needs to get in front of 500 people. If you want to book 10 people in, that post needs to get in front of 1,000 people. So this is why you need to understand your numbers when it comes to marketing. Marketing in private practice, look, there are women out there that are just posting for the sake of posting, and they're not tracking any of this stuff. But if you track it, you improve it, and it gets better and it gets easier because you're able to refine things. So that's why it's really important. And of course, it's also really important for you to be seen because it helps create you as an authority in your field, and not in the counseling field, but in your niche area. So whether you're counseling with grief and loss or trauma or anxiety or perinatal, whatever it is, we want you to be seen as, an authority in that field, because that's going to attract clients to your private practice. Okay. The next thing is that, it's okay for you to know, I need to be posting on Facebook or Google or LinkedIn, or I need to be blogging, but there's something that's stopping me. Okay, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what we need to do is figure out together, well, what is it that's stopping you? Like, what's coming up for you? And it very well could be something like a limiting belief. It could be an old story that you have about something. It could be any number of things. It could be imposter syndrome, Who am I to speak about this? I'm not as educated, or I'm not as knowledgeable, or I don't have 25 years experience like Brooklyn. I'm just new. So how can I get on there and talk about this? So, understanding what your block is going to be the first step in addressing it. And I can tell you about one of my blocks. So a few years ago, and you've heard me talk about this before, it's like the same example, but I get so many, or what do they call it, teaching moments from it. But so I'm sorry if you've heard it before. But for those of you who haven't, the short version is I was working as a psychologist, and a few years ago decided that I was going to be more vocal and verbal, talking about things like manifesting and, all that sort of jazz. And as soon as I did, it didn't go down very, very well with people who were members of my professional community at that time. And, I questioned myself. People were saying, oh, she's unethical talking about, thoughts becoming things, and she's unethical talking about manifesting, and she's unethical talking about integrating spiritual practice with private practice. And, there's all this stuff. And, for a hot minute, I doubted myself, and I experienced those blocks of, well, am I doing the right thing? Should I stop doing it? But what got me through it, and this is step 3, is really being able to embody my why. And I just couldn't let it go. It's like when you know something, you can't unknow it. And when I knew about how important the spiritual and the energetic side of things was, and that psychology addresses one side, but it doesn't address everything, and it doesn't purport to address everything. No criticism to psychology at all, but psychology very much speaks to the scientific model, and it's trying to speak to the scientific model more and more. It has been over the last 20 odd years. It wasn't always like this, but it's very much shifted more toward a medical model now. And, there's a very strong perception in the community that, hey, if this can't be backed by science, then it's not ethical and it mustn't work and it's dangerous and stuff like that. But here's the thing, like, even me, when I was learning about psychology and I was at school, like even in my 4th year and in my master's, we were doing lab reports where we were testing hypotheses. We were, it was a scientific method, whether you were using qualitative or quantitative analysis, whether it was questions and interviews or whether it was, rats and stats, we used to say. We were always testing and we were always questioning. So it befuddles me. There's a word I haven't used before. I don't even know if befuddles is the right word, but I just don't get why some psychologists have forgotten about their scientific training, which is to have a hypothesis and test it. And it's like they haven't tested any of this stuff for themselves. It's safe for them because other people are saying, that's bad and you shouldn't be doing it. It's very safe for them to also come out and say, hey, that's bad, you shouldn't be doing it. They don't stop and think, hey, I want to research this for myself. I want to test it for myself. And so the way that I got through my blocks around visibility and my fears around being visible after, getting bombarded with all this was I just couldn't let it go. I knew how powerful it was. And because I had studied things like manifestation, I could see that there were absolutely parallels more than there were more similarities than there were differences between, manifesting techniques and techniques that you see in evidence-based psychological practice. Psychologists don't want to admit that, and that's okay. But when I saw how powerful it was, and when I saw firsthand that it helped me, and then when I started supporting other people with it and I saw firsthand how it helped them, I knew I was onto something, and I knew that I don't know, it was just like I was ready to take that risk. I was already being ostracized for it. I was already being torn down for it. So I was kind of like, I didn't care. I just kind of, what motivated me was caring more about the people I could help. And that at the time was women who were psychologists and social workers and counselors who were looking for other ways to improve their private practice. And they wanted to do that through learning how I was using manifesting tools and stuff like that. And so since then, I've grown this whole business just by being myself. And it's by remembering how powerful this was that I made it not about me. I made it about the power of the process. And that's when everything changed. I didn't feel defensive. I didn't feel like I needed to justify myself anymore. It suddenly wasn't about me. It wasn't about my profession. It was about the power of these tools. And it was about me wanting to help people who wanted my help in learning how to use them. And from there, I just grew in confidence day by day by day. And now, I've got private practice with soul. Who'd have thought? You couldn't have done this a few years ago. I'm openly teaching practitioners about manifesting. I'm openly teaching people, allied health professionals, as well as counselors and coaches, all about the masculine and the feminine. I embodied it. I stepped into it. It felt aligned. It felt authentic. I could not let it go. So that's my story of how I overcame my blocks around visibility, and I haven't looked back. And, I want you to figure out for yourself, a way of getting out of your own head, drop back down into your heart space and really think about why this is so important. And, when you do that, you'll see it's got nothing to do with you. And it's so much easier to speak your message and share your message when it's not about us. Hand on heart. I've got my hand on my heart now as I'm sharing this with you. Okay. So, the other thing to think about too, and this is point number 3, is sometimes, and I'm just going to not sugarcoat it for you, but sometimes when and this is something I discuss with my clients, they'll know who they are. I want to ask you, if you know all of this stuff, right? And you haven't implemented it, and you haven't changed, and you've still got your visibility blocks, and there's help there, and you choose not to access the help, and you choose not to work on this, and you choose to continue to complain about your visibility and how hard it is. I think, just between you and I, that there might be something else going on here. Have you heard of secondary gains? Because I'm just thinking that maybe by holding on to this limiting belief, if that's what it is, for example, around what it means to be visible, that's getting you off the hook for something else, right? So this came up in a conversation that I had with a woman late last week, and we were talking about what success meant to her. And she was saying that often she will go and she'll ask for help with things, but then not do the steps. And I asked her why she thought that was, and we went more deeply into it. And it turned out she was afraid that if she was successful, it was going to mean more time away from home, more responsibility, more pressure, whatever. So here she was, seeking coaching to get help growing the practice, but at the very same time didn't really want to grow the practice because of these other fears that she had around it. So she wasn't implementing the tools. But the good thing about that was we're able to then make a plan together to support her in, bringing herself into better alignment with the practice. But just putting it out there, if you're somebody who's had the opportunity or knows that she can get help with this and doesn't do it, I'm just wanting you to ask yourself, what am I able to avoid by not taking action on this? Are you worried that if you speak your truth, are you worried that if you say, hey, this is my message, are you worried that you're going to get flooded with referrals? And maybe you don't have the systems to support that. Maybe you don't have a waitlist process, or maybe you don't have a booking process yet, or maybe you don't have, the software or the management system to facilitate and cope with that. Maybe you haven't got your diary set up to accept a whole lot of bookings yet. Is that one of the fears? Is one of the fears, if I'm successful, I'm going to lose my healthcare card? Therefore, I'm going to quietly sabotage myself. I'm going to look like I'm really busy, and I'm going to join masterminds over here, and I'm going to join 6-month memberships over there, and I'm going to do this over here, and I'm going to have accountability over there. But I'm kind of going to also sabotage myself because I don't want to lose my concession card. Do you know what I mean? So be honest with yourself and really allow yourself to dig deeper about what might be going on for you. Okay. Just a little bonus one here. Number 4, of course, get help, get support. If you're a counsellor, I can help you. Head over to the group if you're not in it. It's Australian Counsellors in Private Practice Online. Or head over to, if you're a psychologist or a social worker, head over to the Private Practice with Soul Women's Circle. Come over there and get all the support that you need. Or perhaps this might be, your wake-up call from the universe to let you know that it's time for you to do something about it. And if that's you and you're ready now to start looking at what that action taking might look like so that you can, experience the things that are really important to you in your private practice, let's make a time to talk. My email is in the show notes. Hit pause now. Go and do it now before you talk yourself out of it. Hit pause, scroll down to the show notes, send me an email and just say, let's set up a time, send me the link, and do it, right? Before you talk yourself out of it, just do it and then come back. So, I can help you in so many ways. But one of the easiest ways for those of you who are new to private practice, new meaning you haven't had a private practice for 36 months or more. If you're in that camp, then I think the best way for you to get some support would be to explore maybe the Private Practice with Soul class. And the reason for that is because it's self-paced. So while you're juggling partners and babies and private practice and, all of that sort of stuff, you get to do this work around that when it suits you. Like there's not a time commitment where you've got to show up at a certain time no. This is designed just for you. It's comprised of things that speak to the masculine and the feminine energy so that you can do things like finally get your message sorted out, finally understand what you've been doing incorrectly with your copywriting and why it hasn't been getting much traction and how you can improve it so that you start getting results. It's going to help you with your branding. It's going to help you with your core values. It's going to help you infuse some spiritual tools in how you create and develop and maintain your soul-led private practice. It's going to help you put those foundations in place, those structures in place that are essential to you being able to safely dance and play in the energy of those beautiful relationships that you want to have with clients, with third-party referrers, with everyone. You can't show up in your business and just do the client work because you need to have the structures in place that are going to support that. It's like the structures are the foundation and the walls and the doors and the windows for the house. You need that. And then the feminine energy comes in and she fills up that house by making it look pretty, smell pretty, taste pretty, sound pretty, all of that. She's going to bring people into that space. She's going to love them, nourish their souls, build them up, cultivate relationships, do all of that beautiful work. But if there isn't a house there, where's she going to do this work? And what's going to happen if maybe she's got a half-built house, maybe she's got some policies and some foundations, but she doesn't have it all, and something happens with one of her clients and there isn't the foundation there to support them, right? So this program speaks to the wounded masculine and the wounded feminine and helps shift those energies into masculine drive and feminine flow, and teaches you how to harmonize both of those energies safely and in your own pace so that you can experience these changes that you really, really want to have. It's a 12-month program, and by the end of it, you come out of it with so much more clarity, confidence, because you've got in place all the things that you needed. The business is up and running and it's turning over income. You have flexibility, like you don't have to be at work all the time. You've got flexibility because you've got the right structures in there. And of course you have freedom. And I'm going to teach you how to set it up so that you've got recurring income both online and off. Teach you about your marketing, obviously, help you with your websites, obviously, help you with your messaging, help you with dealing with difficult situations that arise in the practice, like problems with clients, problems with contracts, problems with third-party referrals, all that sort of jazz. It's an incubator for your private practice where you get to go at your own pace, and it just feels light, it just feels manageable. There are action steps that you get to tick off every single month, so you're not overwhelmed. On the 9th of the month, a new set of content unlocks, and in that content you get to establish your soul goals for that month, like what you really want to get out of the work that month. You get to watch videos, access the workbooks, download the transcripts, listen to the audio, and you get to reflect on the progress that you've made. You get to submit homework if you want to, you don't have to, all of this sort of stuff. You're encouraged and rewarded every step of the way. And then on the 9th of the next month, we move into the next part of the training. And the reason why you get to access one new training each month is because many women enroll in this program because, well, part of the reason is they're already feeling overwhelmed. I don't want to add to that. So we're just going to go at a steady pace and make sure we get each thing set up correctly from the beginning so that you don't have to go back later on and fix it. Because there's nothing worse. Ask any private practice owner who's got a practice up and going and has then had to go back and fix things. It's a nightmare. It's much better if you'll save yourself time, energy, and money if you get it right from the beginning. You might be wondering about the cost for this program, and I'm so pleased to be able to share with you that it's $100 a week. That's it. It's $100 a week for a year. That's all. That's like one session. Isn't it worth one session of counseling a week for you to be able to have the confidence, have the clarity, be building the turnover, have developed online and offline programs that your clients want to invest in and want to get results from, to have your message sorted out, your website sorted out, your marketing sorted out, to understand about, to have cleared up the shadow work, to have done all. Isn't that worth one session a week? I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. But here's the thing. There are only spots available for 14 women in this program. And the reason for that is because I want to make sure that for those of you who are wanting support with it, that you get that support. Okay, so there are only 14 positions available, places available. If this is something that you know in your heart you need right now, that you know you need to do for you, it's an investment in your well-being, in you being responsible. It's an investment in you learning how to be a businesswoman in private practice as well as a practitioner. And it's an investment in you being able to take the reins of your business with confidence, because with knowledge comes that wisdom, comes that safety, and comes that security to be able to make the big decisions and to be able to make the small ones too. So yeah, isn't that worth one session a week? I think it is. And here's the other thing. It's end of financial year soon. If you wanted to, and if you had the funds available, why wouldn't you just purchase this program and write it off as a tax deduction for this financial year, right? And I think, I'm not sure if it's just in Victoria, but it's the ATO. Yeah, so it'll be around Australia. That when you make a big business investment like this, it's written off immediately now. That's until the 30th of December. So big transactions like this you've written off straight away. And doesn't that give you more security? And doesn't that make it easier for you to take that step? I mean, it does for me. And even if you opt to do the payment plan of, $100 a week, that's still a tax deduction, which is still pretty cool. And think of everything that you're going to get. The confidence, the clarity, all of that. Look, I could go on about this for hours because I love my program so much. And I know you're going to love it too. But look, if you've got any questions about it, let me know, because I really want to support you. I don't think you're going to be able to enroll in the program for $100 a week in future. It only opens twice a year, as you know. It won't be opening again until January. And certainly it will be more than $100 a week, obviously. But anyway, I would love for you to be part of it. Let me know if this is something you're interested in so I can help you secure a place. And do that just by sending me a little email in the show notes. Go and do that now before you forget. All right, my lovelies, have a beautiful day. And I can't wait to see you again. Bye. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the Private Practice with Soul podcast today. If you're looking for clarity, if you need help with branding, your processes, and bringing everything into alignment with your soul's purpose for your private practice, head to the show notes and click the link for more information about the Private Practice Monthly Mentorship Group. You are going to love it. I can't wait to see you in there. Thanks so much for listening. Bye.